Hello everyone, TMMgamer, and today I have the pleasure to bring you another one of my Fantasy Football League update videos. Now, obviously the Fantasy League's been down for a week as everybody's gone off and completed their international fixtures, but now everybody's back and raring to go for the Premier League, so I thought, as always, I'll do an update video, try and keep you guys running and up to date with the league and who's doing well, and my progress, and go from there. Now, firstly, I'd just like to say, apologies that I couldn't get one up for the second round of fixtures. When I sat down to do the video, unfortunately, the site was updating, so I couldn't actually access any of the teams or any of the league information, and then I was working in the morning, so I couldn't do it, unfortunately, at the other time. That's one of the problems with doing a job like I do, which is random overtimes and stuff. Occasionally you get to a point where you have a window where you can record a video and the site wasn't playing ball, and I ended up not being able to do that, so apologies for that. But get straight back into the action here. Starting off with my team, and this is my team that I'm going to be lining up tomorrow with Lloris in goal, Debussy, Company and Baines at the back, Sigurdsson, Henderson, Wilshere, Johnson and Sanchez in midfield, and then Rooney and Diego Costa up front. Now, I'm a tiny bit unsure whether I'm going to put Wayne Rooney as captain, because last week I did put him as captain against Leicester, expecting him to score, and nothing really happened. So unfortunately, I'm a little bit uncertain about that. I was expecting Rooney to score some goals against QPR, but Manchester United have been far from convincing this season, so I'm a little bit concerned about that. Normally I just bang it on Diego Costa, and one of the things that cost me last week, which I'm going to go into once I show you my points, was that everybody was thinking Diego Costa would be out injured. It turned out that he wasn't. Then he had a really good game, and if I would have put him as captain, I would have had an even better week than I did. So that's why I'm going to play Diego Costa, because I can always have like Boyan. Everybody's pronouncing it as Boyan, so I'm beginning to think it is Boyan now, but it's strange. I've never heard anyone on commenting on Spanish football call him Boyan. They've always called him Bojan. And now that he's come to England and all of a sudden he's an exotic foreign player, they've gone, oh, you mustn't just pronounce the J as a J. It must be some sort of hybrid I. So we'll have to see. I have to go and meet him, try and get an interview with him and ask him how I pronounce his last name. That'll be, I think, the only option. But I do have him on the bench. My bench is pretty weak. Lafferty and Cameron are not playing at all. Lafferty doesn't play, and Cameron's had a really bad injury hit season so far. So Bojan or Dave. So Dave on the bench is probably my only option at the moment. And you know, if Dave doesn't have a very good game, then I'm a little bit in trouble. But I did use my 2 transfers in week 2 to bring in Company for Felipe Luis. And where's the boy? There he is. Sigurdsson in for Jesus Navas. Navas was a little bit of a gamble. I was getting him in to see if he just started a few games, because Manchester City had a relatively easy start to the season, so I wanted to see if I'd get him in and score some points. It didn't happen that way, but you know, it's one of those things. It was a tiny bit of a gamble. The one I'm really unhappy with is Felipe Luis. I can't believe he didn't start. I mean, I was sitting there thinking, should I go for Cesar Azpilicueta or should I go for Felipe Luis? And I was like, Mourinho has gone out and bought this left back. They didn't have a left back in the squad because they got rid of Ashley Cole. They've signed him from the team that won La Liga and got to the final of the Champions League. He had a great season. He's got to start, and he hasn't started a game. So that was a little bit disappointing. But now I've got Vincent Kompany in, absolute beast, and Gylfi Sigurdsson. As you can see, the little star icon here, if you don't know what that means, it means that currently they are in the team of the league. So the best league, the dream team, and there you can see what a ludicrous combination of points that is so far in the league. If you have 265 points and you've picked that team, you're doing very, very well. The thing is, this is a team you could probably actually afford as well, because players like Naismith, Vyman, Shawcross, McGregor, Dier, Dyer, those sorts of guys didn't cost much at all. And then you've got like the Sterlings, the Costas, the Ivanoviches and the Ramseys that cost a little bit more, but are still not breaking the bank. You know, this is a team you could have actually formulated, which is a little bit mental. But you know, that's the team pretty much so far. Let's go on to this screen, which is last week's points. And as you can see, finally I managed to kick off my season. My 2 new signings scored 13 points between them. You know, Company scored 2 points, which is 2 points more than Felipe Luis has scored for me so far this year. So I was absolutely delighted. There you can see my midfield as well. My midfield, I always back my midfield to score goals. When you've got Alexis Sanchez, Henderson, Johnson and Sigurdsson in there, those boys are definitely going to contribute some points. And as it turned out in that week, 2 assists and a 2-point bonus for Gylfi Sigurdsson, and a goal and a 3-point bonus for for Alexis Sanchez. So that's 21 points from just 2 players. And whenever that happens, you know you're doing very well. Got Henderson in there again. Another assist for Jordan Henderson this season, taking up to 2 and a bonus point. And then Adam Johnson just chipped in with a 2 90 minutes played. In a disappointing 1-0 defeat to QPR in the end. But the midfield contributed for the first time all season and was absolutely delighted. Jack Wilshere unfortunately didn't play, so that meant Bojan was subbed in, or Dave as he's now known. No points from him, and that was the only real thing I was a bit unhappy about. My defence, 2 points between all of them. If only one of these teams had kept a clean sheet, that would have been very, very handy indeed. But hey, what are you going to do? Sometimes teams score goals in the Premier League, so you can't keep a clean sheet every week. And with Everton's defence this season being so atrocious, I was delighted that even though Everton conceded 6 goals, I still got a positive points return from Leighton Baines. So pleased. I'm keeping an eye on Leighton Baines. He is a very good player, but Everton are defending like they've never even played a game together so far this season. So fingers crossed they get their act together and I can actually start earning some points off him, because he is one of my more expensive players, and if he's not playing very well, I might have to give him the axe. But Hugo's had a decent start to the season, so's Debussy, and now I've got company in for Luis, who wasn't playing. I'm quite happy with that 4 at the back. Moving upfield, there we go. You can see Diego Costa, my individual highest point scorer. He was my captain, and then I heard the rumours on Friday that he wasn't going to play, so I dropped him as captain, put Rooney as captain, thinking that Diego Costa wouldn't play, and then Costa played and scored loads of goals. So I would have got an extra 12 points, taking me up to 66 points, and then that would have been a really good week. But 54 points, I'm very pleased with that, considering how dreadful a start I've had. First week I forgot to set my team, second week I had like 3 players not even play. Dreadful points, but now I'm actually above average. Yes, success. Mediocrity. I'm slightly above average, a long way below the 102 points scored by the highest guy. But if you have a look at this team, I reckon it'd be quite strange. And that's actually a team I could see somebody pick. Because what you see sometimes is you see like the dream team or the team of the week have 3 QPR players in and have 3 Burnley players, and Burnley and QPR happen to do really well on that week, and then he's got like Costa up front who's captain, and all of a sudden they just get really ridiculous points in that one week, and then the rest of the season are absolutely dreadful. So this is sometimes a slightly misleading stat, because they could have that one great week and then score 3 points the rest of the season. But this is a team I could see somebody actually picking with a sensible head on, because you've got players like Schneidlin, Matic, Sanchez. You've got a few defensive minded players in there, because I think Matic especially is a more holding player, and that's a sort of player I always like to avoid in fantasy football. You always want players who want to contribute. If you pick a centre-back, that's not the end of the world, because centre-backs can score a few goals from corners with headers, and if they keep clean sheets, it works. The big problem with a central defensive midfielder is they're not normally up for many set pieces, and they don't really score very many goals, so you're a little bit unlikely to have a big points return from him. So he did well with Matic. Sanchez as captain, that's one of those things. Unfortunately, the main reason why I didn't get as many more points as I should have done really was I set my captain as the wrong one, based on some dodgy Sky Sports News reports. But then like Gerrard, Mata, Costa, Debussy, Ivanovic, Lovren, those are all players that are sensible picks. Andy Weimann, possibly because he was running out of money and just wanting to get somebody in. He's picked 2 good first choice keepers, which I am a little bit uncertain about. I always like to have a duffer on the bench. Or not a duffer, but the cheapest guy possible, so I can spread the money a bit more evenly throughout the side. But I do like his formation. It's always good to have midfield heavy, or leave a bit of extra flexibility, because if a midfielder gets injured, he can be replaced by a defender, a midfielder, or a striker in his position. So that's quite a nice formation. So well done, Nagap Sio 92. That's a very, very impressive point score in that week. But now I've discussed my team and the dream team, let's move on to the league. And as we can see, finally, I've just snuck onto the front page. Yes, the comeback is on. Slowly, week by week, fingers crossed, I'm going to inch my way up for a glorious, glorious victory on the 38th round, getting those maximum points and giving myself the prize. Now, if I actually do end up winning the league, which I am not going to do, so don't worry about that, but if I actually do by some fluke or some miracle win the league, I'll give the prize to second place. So don't worry, there will be a prize to the subscriber who finishes highest. So don't worry about that, but that's certainly not going to happen. As you can see, we've got Ginger Boys by Simon Woodhull currently at the top of the table, and this is Simon's team. Pretty solid indeed. Got a number of players I've got. You see the Sanchez, Sigurdsson, Costa, Rooney, those sorts of players are in a lot. The one I was actually quite interested in is Saido Berahino. That's a very, very interesting shout, because if you click on Mr. Berahino right here, you can see he's only worth 5.6 million, so that would have been 5.5 million before he's been boosted up. He's already scored a goal, 2 goals actually. He scored 2 goals, didn't he? He's going to play a lot for West Brom. You know, I don't see West Brom doing phenomenally well this year, but pretty much all of their attacking play will go through him at some point. So he's the sort of player who can earn a reasonable amount of points. So that's a decent pick there. Mata, I can't see Mata playing very, very much now, because you know the formation that Van Gaal played with sort of Di Maria and Mata as central attacking midfielders just flat out didn't work. It just did not work at all. It really didn't. And who were they playing again? Was it Burnley? Yeah, it was Burnley. Yeah, that was one of the worst games I've ever watched. It really was. In terms of attacking play, it was the stodgiest, slowest, most dull midfield slog I've seen in a long time. And a large part of that was because Burnley were just sitting there, very, very tight, and the 3-5-2 just did not break them down because of all the personnel playing out of position. So, admittedly, United have made a few more signings now, so that formation might work a little bit better, but I'm a little bit unsure about Mata's role in that team. So, that's an interesting one. But the rest of the team, very, very solid. Vlad did pick up it was a hamstring strain, I think. So potentially going to be missed out again. Diego Costa, one of those players who always seems to be injured yet always seems to play. De Gea in goal. Pretty standard team there, but 72 points is a very, very good return on the week. Unfortunately for Simon, he was not the highest point scorer in the league this week. Let's go and have a look at, I think he's Wee Woo is his name, actually. If I go and find Wee Woo, there he is. Wee Woo with 73 points. What a great name that is. He actually pipped Simon by a solitary point to be the league's highest scoring team. And here we go. This is what I mean. Strange teams like this occasionally. He's gone for 2 QPR defenders and 3 Everton players, and it seems to have worked somehow. Diego Costa as captain certainly helps. That's 24 points right off the bat. Again, Matic, seen him already a couple of times today with 12 points. You know, a lot of this is because of the QPR clean sheet. That's already 12 points for the 2 QPR defenders, which is huge. And considering you really don't spend a lot of money on QPR defenders, that's already a lot of points for value right there. Got Daniel Sturridge, the only player who really let him down, but he's now injured. Potentially going to miss the weekend game, I think. Let's have a look at game week 4. Yeah, Liverpool are playing Villa. I completely forgot, actually. The top of the table clash between the legendary Champions League chasing Aston Villa and the overrated Liverpool. God, that's going to backfire me so hard, isn't it, that statement? But very, very good team again. Interesting to see that pretty much everybody has gone for Diego Costa, which, yeah, he's had a phenomenal start to the season. I can fully understand that. Got some players sniffing around here that I haven't really seen too much of, though, especially like Aidan McGeady. Haven't seen too many people pick McGeady. Seen a couple of people pick Naismith, actually. Stephen Naismith is that sort of utility player. I'm a little bit surprised that he's been listed as a striker. I don't see Naismith as a striker. I think he's definitely a midfielder. He very, very rarely played up front for Everton last season, and he isn't really going to play there very much this year. Although he did sort of play Naismith in sort of like a false 9 role and Lukaku out wide for a decent amount of the season. So potentially that's how it's going to be lining up. So Naismith is a sort of player who can get on the end of the goals and can create a few assists. As you can see, he scored again in Everton's 3-6 defeat. But overall, this is a decent team. I wouldn't pick this team myself because of the 2 QPR defenders to start with. But hey, it definitely worked this week. And fair play to Wee Woo. You are the highest point scorer in game week 3. So let's have a look at the league again. It's actually pretty tight below top. So Simon's pulled away after his glorious week with the Ginger Boys. But beneath that, there is a lot of teams in striking distance of that first place. So this is the interesting part of the season in terms of who's at the top. You can have so many rotations and teams having a bad week and dropping off, and then the team having an 80-point scoring week and all of a sudden jumping 15 places and knocking Simon off his perch. So there's definitely some options there. But once again, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. I really hope you're enjoying the Fantasy League so far. I'm actually enjoying it quite a lot, especially now I've set my team and actually starting to earn a few points. That's always a nice start. But once again, thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.